Hello and welcome to this episode of Brewer Territory. I'm your host, Kurt Hogue, here alongside 2017 National League All-Star Corey Knable. We've got some games, finally,
Yep.
going on in spring training, but we're going to kick it off today, spending some time talking about our swing players for the 2026 Milwaukee Brewers. Now, really, this is just a good excuse for us to talk about some guys we maybe haven't spent as much time talking about as we would like. Because really, you could define, any player as a swing player if they have a good enough season, or in some cases, a bad enough season. But we're kind of looking at this loosely defined as three guys for each of us that we think could have a very critical role and fluctuation also within that role that could determine how well this ship sails along as we get into the coming months of the year. So Corey, I'll just throw to you. Who do you got for your number one swing player for the Milwaukee Brewers in 2026?
I think my number one player is going to be Joey Ortiz. Looking for something big out of him, and I think with the success of him will come the success of the Brewers.
And there's a lot of ways this can go. I think that's why he's a really good player for this list. You kind of surprised me when we went over the Pacoda projections by going over on Joey Ortiz. Like when you think about a best case year for Joey, whether that's stat line or like feel and vibes, what comes to your mind for what would be like you walk away going like, wow, that was a good year?
I want to see, obviously, this guy keep his fielding percentage up. I think, having his good defensive playing will be a huge benefit, obviously, for the Brewers. But if I can get this guy looking at about we're talking a 270, 275 batting average, I think that's going to be a very big role on where he's going to be in the lineup too, So I think, those two would be pretty important.
The defense is you feel like defense is pretty consistent for the most part for big league players, especially like players of his caliber.
Of course.
With the glove. So really, right, the question just comes down to what can you produce offensively? Because there's a big gap between what he did last year. And it's interesting when you talk to Matt Arnold or any of the Brewers front office guys and why they continue to stick with Joey as the shortstop is there's a lot of pieces there, a lot of ingredients they call it on offense.
Yeah.
That they like. Here's what I'm interested to see, and I'm curious what your thought on it is. How much leash do you give him going into 26? Is it as much as last year? Is it short? Like if the offense, like we're assuming the defense is solid still.
Yeah, right. Of course.
How much leash are you giving him?
I mean, you gotta give him a good leash right here, right? You can't just obviously, defense is going to be the most important part about a shortstop, especially. So as long as you're getting the production there, right? I mean, that's going to give him a lot of leeway, but I think that he's just going to really take it to that next step if he can start showing up more on offense, obviously, and coming in clutch. Sometimes it's not just about the average, right? It's coming in huge spots wherever you are in the lineup with guys on. So I think production is going to come, and obviously, if that's happening, then you can't fault the guy for it.
And speaking of the clutch, we saw the bad end of that last year, where I think he like led the major leagues in at bats with the bases loaded and had maybe 2 hits, 3 hits, and not even like sack flies. Yeah, it's and that kind of I think. Look, the numbers on offense were not good as they were, but I do think that left even more of a sour taste. You hit a couple big bombs in those spots, and obviously the overall numbers are going to go up a little bit. But I do think that's going to go a ways to increasing your standing with Brewers fans. And look, for me, when I think about Joey, it comes down to the swing decisions. Last year there was too much chase with 2 strikes and too much passivity early in the count. it's easier said than done. This like swing decisions is such an it's such an easy label to put on probably the most difficult part of playing baseball is that point what is it? Point oh oh
Point oh 0.07.
point
Yeah.
oh 07,
There it is.
to decide. I can't make any decision. I was at the grocery store earlier today, and dude, I was at the bread aisle trying to eat healthier, right? And I'm like, I spent 5 minutes picking out bread. So how am I gonna decide whether to take that pitch or not take that pitch? Incredibly
Right.
difficult. But at the end of the day, you're a big league player. That's what you're paid to do, and it is so critical to just to offensive success for so many guys, and especially someone like Ortiz, where it's like, okay, do you need to be more aggressive early in the count, or do you need to be less aggressive
Yeah.
later in the count? And so finding that balance, I think, is going to be very important
He's
for
a young
him.
guy. He's a young
He
guy.
is a
I
young
think
guy.
the discipline will come, right? You start making those decisions a little less or a little later, not earlier. Maybe he's deciding, obviously before the pitch is even thrown, like that. If this is a fastball right here, I'm swinging, and then it's a curveball. So I think that obviously with more years under your belt, that discipline starts to get a little better. So I agree. Could be big,
Here's
man.
here's something that just popped in my mind. We talk about players needing like you can't get into a groove if you're a bench guy or if you're not pitching
Yeah.
every day. Is can the opposite be true? Like I wonder if Ortiz needing to play every day last year because of his defense, and that's why they wanted him in
Yeah.
there. I do wonder if maybe that like snowballed and he would have benefited from a little more time off. Obviously, the roster didn't exactly lend itself to
Yeah.
that with him. But does it work the other way sometimes where it's like maybe some more like maybe you can play too much when
Oh
things
yeah.
are snowballing?
I think there's something to that for sure. I mean, some guys probably would be successful over playing more. If you're in a slump, getting out of that slump, keep getting the ball to me, keep getting me in the batter's box, or keep getting me out, on the mound. So, but also there, I think that's where it comes into look. The manager's the one making these decisions. He sees the player and he sees what he thinks that is going to make him succeed the best, right? Maybe this guy is the guy that needs to have 1 or 2 days off. Let's reset the brain, reset the body, go from there. But I think that's really a job for Murph or the older guys. Yelly will know when he needs a day off. Woody will know if he needs to push this a day. Let's not throw a pin now. But it's those young guys that are just right. They're hungry. They want to keep going. They don't want
Yeah,
that.
this is your second full year in the big leagues. You kidding me? I want to be in there every single day.
Yeah, don't
That
don't
makes
don't put me on the
and
bench. Yeah.
and
But there's
right,
some
like
older guys that are the same way. They don't need that. I don't need
yeah.
a day off. No, keep me in there. Bryce Harper would not let you give him a day off. No, I'm in
Yeah.
there.
And like to the Brewers' credit, that is kind of their culture. And
Yep.
William Contreras is a big part of that now. And Willie Adames kind of instituted some of it as well, where
Yep.
it's just like, no, we're playing every day.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Brewers stuck with him because of his defense, like I said. And that when we're talking about Joe Ortiz, we do have to talk about that as a significant part of the question, because not a lot of guys would just be handed, an opening day shortstop job when they just had a 570 OPS or whatnot. But I like that. I like that to start off. I'm gonna go with another kind of young, but like not that young anymore hitter. I'm going Garrett Mitchell.
Okay.
There's a lot of ways that this season can go, both good and bad, and then obviously, unfortunately, there's injury history there as well. So there's just questions for I really have no idea what to predict for his 2026 season. When he was on the field his first 3 years, he was great. His
Mhm.
defense, I added it all together, 10 outs above average over 140 games in center field. That would rank, over a full season. That's basically what that is. That would rank as we were one of the 5 or 6 best defensive outfielders in baseball. So he's incredible out there.
Thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome.
All right.
Keon for you and Locaine, boy, you had some OAA getters.
What were they?
out there. I don't know, but I'm guessing
I mean-
Locaine was like
I can promise
no one beat
you,
him.
Locane and Keon robbed a lot of home runs for me, and they
Did you
kept me in the game a lot.
that era of Brewers baseball? I mean, they do now. Like this last 10 years or so, has had a lot of like game-saving home run robberies and game-winning plays in the field. Were
Yeah.
any of the walk-off robberies or game-saving robberies with you on the mound?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Oh yeah. Keon, I would honestly say that Keon had 3 with me. Locane had 1. But yeah, Keon robbed a lot. You know, he made a lot of great plays out there. But yeah, honestly, I want to say it's 3 home runs, walk-off home runs that he took. So
Would have been lower save totals for your career.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but look, but
Mitchell.
Garrett Mitchell is
I
a guy
agree.
who we've seen flash. Like when he has been on the field, I'm discounting his he hit like 200 last year, but it's 75 at bats at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Tough to get in a rhythm, right?
Look at Yelich at the beginning of last year. His numbers were terrible, and he ended up finishing 12th in MVP voting. So I don't care that Garrett Mitchell was bad at the plate last year. The sample's still not huge for his entire career, but those first 3 years, you could kind of see, the upside there
There's
for sure. You talk
potential,
about swing decisions, and he has good swing decisions. The issue is he doesn't always hit. He's hitting the ball, is making contact. And so that's why he's on my swing list, as we kind of ambiguously define it, is like that's a lot of strikeouts. You have to do a lot to overcome striking out a third of the time. Can he do it? Can he stay healthy? These are the questions I had, because I think there's still untapped upside in there for sure. And if he's not available, it's going to, there'll be a trickle down effect on the offensive production from your center field for sure.
I agree. And obviously injury is exactly what you want to prevent. So we can keep these guys healthy, man.
Yes. So far, so good on that front in spring. All right, Corey, hit me with your next guy.
Number 2, I'm going to go Rengifo. I think, obviously, being a new guy in the club, being the older guy, you're looking at a veteran. I'm not saying older guy. I mean, what is he, 29? He's veteran, okay? So having him over there in the hot corner is going to be obviously very important for him, and, keep his numbers producing. I think that, coming in, he's going to have a big role, big shoes to kind of step in, and I want to see him accelerate, man.
I feel like the Brewers might, whether it's Rengifo or not, I don't know who the guy is going to be at third base. This is similar. We were having this discussion last year too. I feel like it's deja vu all over again, baby. They need someone. Someone's got to play third.
Right?
Someone's got to be good
over there. He could be somewhere else, but yeah, I'm just thinking this is what we got.
Right. There has to, like, whether it's Rengifo or David Hamilton or Jet Williams, that position is still a big unknown right now. If you are looking at this team, and I know the front office likes what they have more than I think like you'll get brand or name recognition for, but Rengifo is probably going to get the most opportunity over there, at least to start. And so I like it.
I think you're right too, though. I mean, having David Hamilton and Jet, obviously, going into it, we were kind of wondering on who's it going to be, but yeah, seeing this Rengifo, at least that gives it a little more clarity, and that gives these other 2 younger guys to kind of go in and gain some knowledge, maybe really start fighting for that position. So I think it's going to be, obviously, like you said, just great competition over there, great decisions, I guess, to be made, right? You want to have these decisions rather than, well, this is, I guess, what we have to go with.
Yeah, you want it to be a hard decision, whereas last year it was promoting Caleb Durbin was like the easiest decision,
right?
because the third base picture was so bad. And yeah, I mean, you just need a base level of production in order from every position in order to win a division in baseball. I'm gonna go to your home, the bullpen. Angel Zerpa, a guy we have not talked about at all on this show so far. He was the Brewers' first real big acquisition, of the offseason, when they traded Isaac Collins and Nick Mears for him from Kansas City. And look, this is a guy who you look at him and you see what the Brewers see. Okay, nasty sinker. Okay, huge ground ball rate. Okay, maybe there's some more swing and miss with some of this other stuff like the slider. Can we get a reliable third pitch in there as well? Yeah. Is he going to be a length guy? They kind of teased the idea of stretching him out as a starter. I think that is kind of out pretty much out the window at this point, but you could still see him in some sort of Ashby-esque length role. Whatever the case is, the Brewers clearly have big hopes for him, and he needs to fill a pretty substantial role this year. But also, you look at his career numbers and you're like, okay, he's, the ERA's around 4. Some of the peripherals aren't, don't scream out like he's just a breakout waiting to happen. I think it's in there, but I'm not sure it's a guarantee for a guy who you kind of start looking at the bullpen depth chart and you're like, okay, this guy's going to have to throw some pretty important innings early on for this team.
All right. I mean, I like it. I don't know much about the guy. So, I think that's pretty exciting to go out there and, hey, show me what you got. Show me. Let's start talking about you more on the show. So, I agree.
Put up some zeros there this spring.
Yeah. Hey, everyone's got to start somewhere, right? I mean, my first year I was a 6.2 ERA coming in. So, it's lower and lower, right? That's what you shoot. You shoot your targets high and keep going.
Yeah, and that's kind of how bullpen breakouts happen. Is pitchers kind of like yourself back in the good old days where the stuff is there and you just kind of need the everything to come together at the right time, and that's what they're looking at with Zerpa.
Could be long, could be getting some innings, and then every now and then getting those maybe higher leverage situations. Let's see how you do. Go out there and have some
absolutely.
Success.
All right, wrap us up with your number 3.
That's great. Yep, I'm actually getting to Aaron Ashby. So I know you mentioned him.
Just mentioned him.
I mean, I talk about Ashby a lot.
This is your guy on this staff.
He is. This guy, I'm a huge fan of. I love what he's got. I love watching what he's got. Obviously, everything moves. There's not a single pitch that doesn't. It's hard to catch, hard to hit, hard to see. So, obviously, whatever, I think, for his role, whatever he's going to be in, right? Starting, relieving, long relief, high leverage, I think he's going to kind of bounce all over. And so, just for him accepting what role he's going to have to be in to help this team succeed is going to be obviously a huge factor. And I want to see this guy just accelerating any role he's put into, man. So,
I think it's so funny that you are so high on Ashby because on my other podcast, Microbrew with JR Radcliffe, the Journal Sentinels, our other podcast. I'm just podcasting all the time.
This is a podcast, man.
It is our running gambit when we do our preseason predictions. This is like 3 years running of me predicting something insane on Aaron Ashby. Like last year was Aaron Ashby gets Cy Young votes. He got hurt, didn't really happen.
Yeah.
But like I've just been just trying to continuously buy the Ashby stock. I'm hoarding it.
Yep.
So
it's a good stock to get into.
This
man.
is funny. This is funny to hear you become that guy on Brewer Territory as well. All right.
Yes.
Let's put an end to it. We got a dog situation.
Yeah. Amazon just got here, and now my dog's going, man.
Yeah, I don't know where Moose Hogue is right now. Speaking of Brewers names, Moose.
That's right.
My golden moose. I don't know where he is, but he hasn't made his. Thank God he hasn't made his BT debut yet. All right, Amazon guy, go away. I got things to say, man. All right, so for my third and final one to wrap our swing players episode up here, I'm going with Andrew Vaughn, the Brewers' first baseman for 2026. Look, we have seen him be great with the Brewers, and we have seen him be not so great with the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
The Brewers' first base situation feels like it's always a little bit in flux. They do have the guys. They know who the guys are this year between him and Jake Bauers. We saw great things from him last year with Milwaukee. He crushed the ball. He didn't chase as much, made contact, all the things you want. His defense even improved, which was a big question for him in Chicago. So look, these are all great signs. I just want to see it again. I want to see him do it again because let's be frank, it was kind of topsy-turvy there toward the end of his time with the White Sox. So what version of Andrew Vaughn are the Brewers getting? Because look, as we've talked about on the show, this is not an offense that has a ton of slug.
Yeah.
They need him to be, or whether it's him or Jake Bauers, I guess, like that position kind of has to produce some power for them to, finish as a top 10, top 5 scoring unit again. So look, there's a
I
lot on his
agree.
shoulders. He got a nice little arbitration deal. I want to say like 7 or 8 million. That's not nothing. Not nothing
That's
for
not nothing.
for a Brewers first baseman. So
Yeah.
that is a guy that I think will have a pretty substantial impact on whether this team goes where they want to or they don't.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great choice, great pick. I'm right there with you, man. I think that obviously he had his time right there in Chicago South Side, and he yeah, I mean that was a tough year, right, for the White Sox, right? So
Very
go
tough.
in there and very tough.
41 wins.
Yeah, exactly. So
Was that the year you were in spring training?
that was the year I was in spring training.
See, that was the problem.
That was it. You needed me out. I'm telling you, you needed me on the team or out. I couldn't stay healthy. But that was, I think that was obviously a great new start for him. Right, was getting into Milwaukee and going from there. Look, it's the production was there, yes, and I agree. He's a first baseman. You're going to need, especially like you said from Bauers, we're going to need some big time production from that first base spot. And so, I think you're spot on, man. Spot on with that third spot here.
Thank you. Flattering. Did you get to know Vaughn at all in spring?
I did. I knew him a little bit, especially, pitchers and position players did talk obviously a lot. We didn't do too much hanging out, but really solid guy, loved to fish. So
Loves to fish.
Loves to fish. I think he's definitely, obviously he was younger at that point too, but I think he's definitely got some potential looking into the next few years, man.
Yeah. And they talk about him a lot as like a really cerebral guy, someone who's in the box and like has a great understanding of what you're trying to do to him and what he needs to do to counter that. So that was one of the first things the Brewers talked about. Like he was here for a couple of weeks and quiet guy for sure, but made his impact in some unexpected areas, I guess we could say. So
his defense improved like that too. It's
true.
Look, he wants it, man. I think that's obviously having the guys on the staff in Milwaukee that plays a lot of numbers right there. So
that's Matt Erickson, infield guru, strikes again. Maybe we'll see it maybe we'll see it with one of your swing guys, Luis Rengifo, and his defense. We'll keep an eye on that for sure. So that'll do it for us. 6 swing players to watch for the Brewers this season. Hey, thanks again for tuning in to Brewer Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. I'm going to say it again. Like, subscribe, share. Please, please, please.
Please, guys.
Don't make me beg. It really does help us out. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you. 3 episodes coming next week. We'll talk to you shortly on Brewer Territory.